make or miss the cut. And I know this is going to shock a lot of people. What's up, guys? Matt Brown here for thelines.com, playpicks.com. Going to talk to you about the U.S. Open golf tournament we are very excited about here at the Lines and Play Picks. Before we get going, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Give us a thumbs up on this thing, and then let us know in the comment section how you're going to play this tournament. Who are your outrights? You got any top 20s, top 30s, top 40s, head-to-heads, groupings, things like that? Any of those that you're looking to play, let's go ahead and get those out there, and we'll talk about them. But let's get things going here. A full betting guide over here at thelines.com to kind of give you the highlights here of what's going on. Torrey Pines South, 156 golfers. We're going to get top 60 and ties making the cut here. It's going to be a par 71. Now, this tournament, the Farmers Open is played on this golf course. 3 of the 4 rounds. They play the North course for 1 round. They play 3 rounds on the South course. So that tournament, if you're going back and looking at that, just remember that is a par 72. What they've done is taken one of the par 5s. They're going to play it as a par 4 for this golf tournament. So it's a par 71, 7,652 yards. POA greens, narrow fairways, thick rough. It's going to be a U.S. Open. That's what U.S. Opens do. We're talking about that Farmers Open earlier in the year. Patrick Reed won that tournament. So if you're into a course history person, Patrick Reed did win that tournament. Holes 1, 4, 7, 11, 12, and 15, all very tough. Force bogey or worse 25% of the time or more. That being said, the par 5s, which you'll see this in the model shortly for me. I'll scroll a little bit if you want to read along. One of the things that I'm going to be doing is focusing on par 5s, since it's going to be so hard to score here. The 3 par 5s that are left are the 3 easiest holes on the course. So we're going to be looking at that as well. The past 5 U.S. Open champions have all ranked inside the top 13 that season in driving distance. So distance, length is important at this at all U.S. Opens, but specifically here, this is to be the longest course in U.S. Open history. Of those 5 years as well, driving accuracy, not so much. Despite the fact that the rough is long and hard, if you're long and hard to hit out of, as long as you are deep, as long as you can get it out there, it doesn't really matter, right? Like, because you're so far down the fairway that driving accuracy, 52.9% is the average over those years. So not that big of a deal. So let's look here, guys. I'll show you what I emphasized on my model. Again, this is over at Fantasy National. This is the last 50 rounds. I did driving distance, strokes gained approach, strokes gained around the green, par 4 scoring of 450 to 500 yards, because outside of those 2 that are over 500 yards, pretty much all the other par 4s are either 450 to 500 yards. Again, very long course here. I wanted to see who does that well. 3-putt avoidance. I don't want guys getting on these POA greens and just wetting the bed. So 3-putt avoidance here. Greens in regulation. I want them on the green. I want them in regulation. Fairways gained. I took that down. The original model that I had it much higher. I had it down. I took it down to 7% here because, again, once I figured out that driving actually wasn't as important, especially for the long hitters, then I took it down a little bit. I did want to put it in here, though, because I wanted to see if I was favoring any of the guys that are a little bit shorter, that I wanted to be able to see what they look like on this. Par 5 scoring, as I talked about, and then proximity, 175 from 200 to 200 out, because if we look at that, these are long holes. They're going to be having to hit long irons inside there. Guys, this is over the last 50 rounds. Comparatively to the field, the number 1 ranked golfer in my model is Jon Rahm. He is also the guy that, if we look over here on the odds, yeah, he's the shortest odds there is. And actually, you can find all these odds over here at the Lines. We've got a nice little odds comparison tool here. But yeah, he is the shortest odds across the board. He's also the guy coming in number 1 in my model over the last 50 rounds. Now, if we go to 36 rounds, pretty interesting. Xander Schauffele. Jon Rahm, though, up there at 2. But look at this. Jason Kokrak at number 3 over the last 36 rounds. Whenever you look where he's at, 13th in this field in driving distance, 26th in approach, 19th in par 4 scoring for 450 to 500, 22nd 3-putt avoidance, 9th greens in regulation, 4th in par 5 scoring, 25th in proximity, 175 to 200. I don't think people realize how good Jason Kokrak has been lately. And he is making my betting card for sure. If we go to the last 24 rounds, as you see right here, Xander again Cantlay, Casey, Rahm, Kokrak again, Zalatoris. You can see these guys that are showing up over and over and over again. It doesn't matter how far back I go or how recent I get. If I get to 12 rounds here, Xander again. Also Carlos Ortiz, who, by the way, was showing up in some of these other models as well, just a little bit lower, but he's a long shot bomb that you could play this week as well. Finau, even though he has never won, we know that he is just a top 20 machine, stuff like that. So Finau sitting here at 3, Burns, Streelman, Cantlay, Casey, Kokrak again, McIlroy, Rahm, Morikawa, Zalatoris again, Victor Hovland. So where am I headed this week? We'll just go to DraftKings odds here, and then we can compare. One of the things I can't stress enough that you definitely need to be doing in golf more than just about any other sport is actually comparing the numbers, especially on outrights, these futures odds. So, we head over here. You can just see the difference whenever we start to get outside of just Jon Rahm. I mean, Xander, he's 14 at DraftKings with 18 at these other places. DJ, 14, 18, 17. You can see how this goes. Do I believe Rahm is the favorite? I do. You can see even by the models that I put out there, he is, at the top of every single model. I just can't play him at 10-1 in a field of 156 golfers with the very best golfers in all the world playing this week. The shortest guy you're going to see me on is Brooks Koepka this week, 18-1. If you look, he was actually showing up in these models just a little bit further down. And, there was some times when Koepka was just a little bit off, and you can see Carlos Ortiz showing again here at 18. But Koepka right here at 13, and you can see this is over the last 24 rounds. So not super recent, but enough to give us a nice little sample size of Brooks Koepka. He is 17th in driving distance, 14th in approach, 5th in greens and regulation, 8th in par 5 scoring. And the only reason he's not as higher than he is, as you can see, 3-putt avoidance. He's 3-putted a lot. His putter was failing him there for a little while. And you can even see fairways gained. He was a little errant on his driving, but again, we're not that worried about it this week. We're not that worried about that because he's going to be way down there. He's going to be far down the fairway. So we're not worried about it near as much. So I am on Brooks Koepka. On Brooks Koepka this week. He is the shortest guy you're going to see me on. The next guy, and this is playing a number, and this is playing a feel, and I very rarely do this, but I'm playing Justin Thomas because you can get him at 25-1, and you're never going to see Justin Thomas at a major at 25-1 ever again. If you look at his underlying stats, his ball striking, all this stuff is actually really good. And all the stuff that we love about Justin Thomas is really good. His iron play, one of the best approach guys there is out there. The problem is his putter has been gone, lost, forgotten. But with a putter, you can come around on a putter, you can get hot for 4 days putting and everything can work out for you. So, I'm looking more at the underlying stats here, and hopefully he can get close enough to where he doesn't even have to be making long putts. He can get close enough to the hole where he can make some of these shorter guys, and Justin Thomas, 25-1. I have an old ticket on Vic Hovland, just full disclosure. I made it about 3.5 months ago. So I have Vic Hovland in the hopper. 28-1 is not terrible on Vic Hovland. He just hasn't won. He keeps getting there. Vic is a guy that I love to play in the derivative markets, in the top 10s, top 20s, top 30s, things like that. And you have to be playing those markets so you don't just constantly drain your golf bankroll, guys. You can't only play outrights. Be sure, play head-to-heads, play groupings, play the top 30, 20, 10 markets, things like that. Vic Hovland, love him in those derivative markets as well. The same thing for Will Zalatoris and Shane Lowry. Both of these guys actually will have a little bit of an outright play on Shane Lowry, but mostly the money is going to be on Zalatoris and Lowry in the derivative markets. Again, the top 40s, the top 30s, the top 20s, and then even in some of these other markets where you can play these guys, there's endless amounts at DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM these days. I mean, you can see just the massive amount of different ways that you can play over at these sites here. So just be sure that you're combing through and checking out all of the different options whenever you're going to make your bets. One of the other things that I am playing here, everybody is all over. Everybody all over Corey Connors and here lately. And listen, he is a guy that has certainly been playing well. He has been and has shown up in big tournaments. That said, Taylor Pendrith is a guy that has been really, really good on the Korn Ferry Tour, and it's 4.5 to 1 for him to be the top Canadian player. He only has to beat 3 other guys. And if you look at Pinder's stats on the Korn Ferry, probably the typical models you've been seeing run, he doesn't even show up because he's been playing Korn Ferry. But if you look, really solid golfer. And again, I'm getting over 4 to 1 on my money for the top Canadian. Really like him here. Make or miss the cut. And I know this is going to shock a lot of people, but I'm going to take the no on making the cut for Phil Mickelson at even money. I know everyone is falling in love with Phil after his win at the PGA. I get it. But Phil, this course isn't really built for Phil. That the driver game, listen, up until a couple weeks ago was absolutely putrid. I think he ran as pure as humanly possible, and I don't think that that's going to hold up here. I have him no on making the cut. We have some groupings as well. One of the groupings that I really, really like, if we take a look here at these tournament groupings, let's see if we can find the round 1 groups here. Yeah. So if we take a look here at these round 1 groups, man, I can't even find where this thing has gone. There is a grouping out there of Joaquin Niemann, and Joaquin Niemann over it was Higo, and it was also an amateur. So be sure and look in and find that. I just right off the top of my head, I don't have where it is showing up right now, but if you take a look, and you will find that one, and be sure, and I really do like that one a ton. So be sure and go in and find that one and get on that one as well. The other thing that I'm going to be playing, as I mentioned, Kokrak keeps showing up all over the place in my in all my models. I'm playing Kokrak outright here. I'm going to play Kokrak in top 30s, top 20s as well. If we can find, let's see what the best price is that we can find on Kokrak out there. Here's a 70 to 1 at FanDuel, which is way, way better, obviously, than the 55 to 1 that we just found at DraftKings. Really like him there as well. As far as fades go, I'm fading Jordan Spieth this week. He's not long enough, and also he's been spraying the driver all over the place. If you're not long, then you better be accurate, and he is not that. So I'm going to be fading him. Another guy that I'm keeping my eye on this week, and I think you could take a look at, is a guy named Chan Kim. Maybe playing him in top 40, top 30-ish markets. A guy that's played a lot over in Japan, but he played his collegiate golf here in the States, used to the West Coast stuff, used to the POA greens, used to things like that. You can get big money on him for top 30, top 40 type bets as well. Also, Shane Lowry, as I mentioned, I'm going to be playing him in all the derivative markets. Really do like him a ton this week as well. Not going to be, listen, maybe after the first round, I'll get in on Rahm. I don't think the price is going to be that much worse after the first round anyway. So that's why I'm not playing him at 10 to 1, because I might can get 8 to 1 on him after I have 18 holes of data. Like after I have 18, make sure that doesn't have any lingering COVID effects or anything like that. So definitely going to wait and see on him. Xander Schauffele, guy that you saw, it's going to be a small play from me, but I have to stick with the numbers and stick with my models here. And you can see in the 36, the 24, and the 12, Xander Schauffele comes in at number 1 across the board in all of those. And for my long shot play, I'm going to play Carlos Ortiz, a guy, like I said, that sneakily shows up in these models a little bit higher than it starts to pique your interest a little bit. So definitely going to have Carlos Ortiz in, not only as a long shot play from an outright standpoint, but in the derivatives as well. Again, you're going to get plus money on him, even finishing top 40, top 30, top 20, things like that. So again, player pool, pretty simple, and really do head over to the lines, guys, and take in all these golf betting articles that we've got up here, because we have great breakdowns. We have course breakdowns. We have all the odds, all the things like that. And again, what you've got to do is click on one of these and get as many books open as you can, because in golf specifically, you really need to be able to compare lines. If you say your only out was PointsBet, as you can see right here, 12 to 1 on Xander, but you want to bet Xander, he's 18 to 1 at another book. I mean, these outrights vary so huge from book to book. So just be sure that you have as many outs as you can possibly get. And you can click on any of these and get awesome bonuses over at the lines as well. So appreciate you guys watching. Guys, go ahead again. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Remember to like the video. Let us know in the comments, who do you like? You got any questions? Try to answer those as well. And good luck on all your bets for the U.S. Open.